Hello friends, welcome to the channel RetalConnect.com. So in this session we will discuss about the destructing assignment which was introduced in the ES6 version. Okay, so today in destructing assignment we will discuss about destructing. What is destructing in JavaScript? So basically if you see in JavaScript in ES6 version we have an destructing assignment syntax. Okay, new for array and objects. Okay, so what it makes, it basically unpack the values from array or objects. Okay, so it's a technique of unpacking any object or array. Okay, so that's why it is called destructing. That means you are destructing any object or array in JavaScript. Okay, so we have some topics here. So what we will cover inside. Okay, so there are two types of destructing, for array destructing and object destructing. Okay, so we will basically discuss the both. Okay, so the definition of destructing assignment is, you can see, okay, here. Okay, so the destructing assignment syntax is a JavaScript expression that makes it possible to unpack values from array or properties from objects into distinct variables. Okay, so we will discuss one by one. Okay, for array and then object. So in array we will discuss these all things. Okay, so we will start with an example. So what is basically destructing and how we use with array. Okay, so let you have an array here. Okay, which has some value. Okay, now you want to destruct it. Okay, so how can you use? You will write like this. Let's suppose you have some variable name here, bc equal to, you have array here. Okay, now you will console dot log. Okay, and you can console p. Okay, okay, you can do let here, or you can use constant as well. Okay, so you can see we have destructed the values from a, and it has three values in array, but we have passing two parameters here. So 2 will assign to b and 3 will assign to c. 4 will not be assigned. Okay, so if you have here t, then you will have all value. Okay, so if you will write here, you will print 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, that means you can get out from the values, take the values from the array like this. Okay, so if you want to get the first uh, value from any array without using the index, you can do like this. Okay, that means if the question is asked in an interview that if you want to take out the first element from array without any indexing value, so how can you get it? So this is the example. You can take this value assigned in any variable using the destructing of array. Okay, so this is the basic example. Now we come to the next point, default values. Okay, so default values, that means let's suppose this value is undefined. Okay, so you will get undefined, but you want to have some default value if you have undefined. Okay, so you can use this default value set to this variable inside the destructing, and you will get the value here if the data is undefined. Check what will happen with null. Again, if it is null, then default value will be printed. Otherwise, if it has value, then you will get the 9 because 9 is coming. Okay, so default will not work at that time. Okay, so here assigning equal sign, okay, will help you to assign the default values. Okay, Similarly, in other, you can see like 8 here. Okay, and here if you have null, okay, then you will get check with empty array. Then you will get 8. If you have empty as well, then you will get. If you have null as well, then you will get null, because null is value. Okay, and if you have undefined, then you will get 8. Okay, that means it will work with null. It will not work with one null if there is null value in. Okay, it will only work with undefined. Okay, now we will come to the assignment separate from declaration. That means you can have like this. You can have also like this. Okay, here you have same thing. You can directly assign without declaring it. Okay, you can directly assign this to in variables. Okay, let's suppose you have some data coming from anywhere. You can directly assign to the variables with some default value as well. Okay, so you are getting null. If you have undefined, then you will get default value. Okay, and if you have empty, then again you will get default value. Okay, now come to the next point. What is swapping in array destructing? Okay, so let's suppose you have a variable a equal to 5, and you have another variable b equal to 6, and we will create a swap. Okay, so for swapping, what we do, here you can pass a can be a comma b equal to, you can pass here b comma a. So now in a comma b, you will have a, we have assigned 5 into a, but we are getting 6 into a. So you can easily swap your values with the help of destructing as well. Okay, so this is the example of swapping. Now come to the parsing an array returned from a function. Okay, so let's suppose you have a function which return an array. Let's suppose it is returning an array. Okay, so you can also write like this. Okay, so if there is function and it is returning array, then you can also use the function here, and you will get the values inside this. Okay, now is ignoring some returned value. Okay, so let's suppose if you want to ignore some middle values. Okay, we are ignoring the last one here right now, but if you want to ignore the middle one, so you can do like this. Okay, then you will, if you print C, you will get the value of 5. Okay, 4 is not assigning to anything, 5 is assigning. Okay, so you can ignore like this. Okay, assigning the rest of an array to a variable. Okay, Let's suppose we have some more values, okay, and we have written only two variables a and b here, but we want all values to be stored in one variable, okay, up to 5 to 6, okay. So what we will do, we will use the rest operator, and you can, let's suppose, write c, then you will have all values inside c. So you can see in console we have getting all the values, rest values inside this rest operator, okay, c. So similarly you can get all the values, okay. So yes, these were all the scenarios where you can use the destructing inside your array using the destructing assignment feature, okay. So all these things we will discuss with object, okay. So object destructing assignment separate from declaration, okay. So what is object? Let's suppose we have an object here, okay, name, title, the next, type, channel, okay, platform, YouTube, niche, IT tutorials, okay. So let's suppose we have an object a which have some key values, okay. Now we want to destruct it. So what will we do? Let you will have now object here, okay, curly braces, okay. So if you will have to take out your name here, and let's suppose you name, you need niche, then you will have to write like this, okay. Then you will console dot log, you can use the name, okay. So you can see we are getting the name. If you get the niche, you will also get the value. So here if you want to get the exact, you have to pass the key name here, you will get the exactly what is the key. If you have no key there with that name, you will get undefined, okay. You will get undefined if there is no key inside this JSON object, okay. So this is the basic example, okay. Assignment separate from the declaration. Okay, you can also write like this. You can assign directly here in place of it, okay, and you will get the same output, okay. So now default values. If you want to assign some default values, you can also write some default values missing, okay. So if you don't have any name here like undefined, then you will get the missing because it is undefined. But check what will happen with the null. If you are getting null, then you will get null, okay. But if empty, you have to pass this empty string, then you will get empty, okay. That means it will only work with undefined. Means you can rename this, sorry, you can assign default value to this keys, okay, in destructing. So for iteration and destructing, for of iteration and destructing. So for of iteration and destructing, we should have an example, better example, okay. So for that we will get some example of JSON, okay. See, we will copy this JSON from, okay. Let's suppose we have an JSON with repeating values of array, okay. JSON array is there, and it has name, family, age, okay, this like, okay. Now what will happen if you want to get something, not more data, you want to get only some data? So for that, what you will do, for, okay, then here you will have an constant or let. So we will basically define constant, okay, and we will have whatever the thing you will want. Let's suppose we will want name, so we will have name, and another, let's suppose you need family, we will help family here, and inside this you only want brother, then you can write brother only, okay. And you here you will have of object name, and you can console dot log whatever the thing you want to print, name, or you can say brother, okay. So first one have don't have brother, and the second one have brother, okay. It has sister, it has brother, okay. So brother is only with Tom James, okay. So we are destructing this people object inside this, and we are getting only the name and family, brother, okay. So we are getting this inside, okay. If brother is empty, then you can set default, set anything, okay. So you will get empty here if there is no brother, okay. So this is the example of 4 of iteration. Now we will come to computed object property names and destructing, okay. So for that we will have example, okay. Let e equal to, let's suppose 1. We have an key whose name is 1, and now we will have an destructing here, okay. And we will use naming condition, renaming it to something, let's suppose a, okay. And equal to, let's suppose we have an object here as hello, okay. Now we will assign here key, and we have hello, okay. Now we will console dot log a. So this is basically undefined. Now what we will do, we will have the same key because we are not having the same, so we should have here 1, okay. Then this will assign to this key, okay. This is dynamic, you can set it anytime, okay. And we are renaming it, okay. So you can also rename your key after assigning, okay. So we have assigned it value inside this, and now we have renamed it. Let's suppose we have a key dot first name, and we have name like turtle, okay. So we should have key like this. So but this key, you can see it's a big name, okay. So we can give it a short name like fn first name, okay. So now you will get the value in fn. So you are getting, so you can easily rename your key if there is key duplicacy, you can say, because if you have, let's suppose if you have, or you can say if you have a variable with this name already inside your application, then if you not rename this, then you will have error, okay. So let's suppose your application is using the same name, and you have getting the value in object with same key, so it will give error, okay. So for that, what you will have to do, you can just rename it, and you will use the renamed one to get. Okay. Now next thing is rest in object destructing. Similarly, in the array, we have here the rest one. Okay. So for that, we should have an JSON object here. Okay. We just copy from a. Okay. So we have an JSON object here. Okay. And we will use destructing A and B, and then you can write like this with the rest operator and C and equal to S. Now if you console log separate only C, then you will get this one. Okay, inside C, and A and B will be assigned inside this one. Okay, that means if you can give the another name which is not here as the arguments, okay, of the rest operator. Okay, so now come to the invalid JavaScript identifier as a property name. Okay, so let's suppose what will happen here in JSON. In JSON, you have this one. We have some name like okay. Let's suppose our key name is like this. Okay, so how can you will use inside one? Okay, so you can have this like this here. Okay, and you have to use the renaming it. Okay, let's suppose HW. Okay, otherwise it will throw error if you destruct like that. Okay, so if you will have here HW, then you will get your value. Okay, now combined array and object destructing. Okay, so basically let's suppose we have an example of an array. Inside array we have JSON. So how can you get from that? So for example, we have a data here called props. Okay, and inside this we have an array, and inside array we have 3 JSON object. Okay, now we want to get the values. Okay, so let's suppose I want only to print the fish badge. Okay, so I all means only need this one. I don't need these all three, these all things. Okay, so how can you take it out? So for that, we will just ignore first one, ignore second one, and now we will have object destructing. Okay, and inside object destructing, we don't need both two, we need only name. Okay, so if you console log name, then you have only teach purge. Okay, so basically this will help you to destructing between if you have an JSON object array. Okay, that means object and array both are there, so you can easily ignore the first two, and ignore will be ignored in the object destructing. We will ignore id, we will only call this one. And if you can want to rename it, you can just use with n, and if you want to assign some values, default values, okay, then you will have, and here, okay, you will get fetch value. If it is undefined, then you will get hello. Okay, so this is the basic examples of destructing. Destructing means breaking your main object or array and taking out the limited data which you are required in your project. So this basically benefit of this one using destructing feature, that you don't have to carry the heavy object all over the project like using props dot props, you can have to like this, write props dot true, then you have to write name, then only you will get. So if you have to need 10 times inside your project, okay, so let it is undefined. So if let's suppose you have to print 10 times here, so what will happen? Let's suppose you have to print 10 times here, so what will happen? If you will have more operations on the same object, then it will take time. Okay, it will take time from getting out the same thing from the heavy object props. Okay, so for that, so for better performance, what we do, we just create like this, and we have to use only n here with in place of this. So one time you get out, you take out the data from the object, okay, and you have just only used them. So each time taking out the data will consume more time and memory. Okay, so this saves your memory and time both as well. So, and this destructing helps us to increase the performance of any JavaScript algorithm, you can say. Okay. Okay, thank you for watching this session. Okay, subscribe our channel. We will get more topics on JavaScript in deep. Okay, thanks for watching.